Hi crafty friends, it's Tasha from A Date with My Craft Room. Thanks for joining me for another video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I used my brand new 3D texture Sizzix embossing folders. So I recently went to the Scrapbook Expo and I got a great deal on these awesome embossing folders. And so I wanted to share with you how I'm using them and what kind of projects I'm making and actually how awesome they are. So first of all, let me explain to you the difference between the 3D embossing folder and the run-of-the-mill embossing folder you can buy from either Cuttlebug, Sizzix, or other brands. So this is the clear embossing folders, and it's fairly thin. And then here is the 3D texture Sizzix embossing folder. Now, Sizzix specifically made these embossing folders in an orange color so that you can tell the difference between the regular and the 3D effects. And then here is the thickness of this one. So you can see how much thicker the 3D is compared to the normal. So I also wanted to share with you a couple of tips that I've learned. These 3D texture embossing folders are so deeply etched. They make great impressions in your paper. If you're not careful, your paper will crack. So what I learned was that the first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose a cardstock. You can choose your normal 80-pound, 110-pound. You can choose watercolor, foil, metallic, whatever you want. And you're going to actually spray or mist lightly with some water on both sides. And what this does is it actually breaks up the fibers and gets it kind of moist so that it is more pliable when sticking it through your embossing folder. So it's lightly misted. It's actually kind of too wet, but let me just dry. There we go, much better. So it's still kind of moist. So I'm going to put this in my embossing folder, close it up. Now, using the Big Shot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the regular embossing sandwich. So you're going to only have tab 1 down. So this is the normal embossing sandwich, except instead of using 2 pads, I'm just going to use 1. And so I'm going to put my embossing folder down, and then I'm going to put 1 pad, cutting pad, on top. And that is the sandwich that you use. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through. And I like to run it through both ways just to make sure I get the full width and depth of this embossing folder. And once that is done, you can take it out and see how gorgeous this turns out. Look how deeply etched this is, and the feel of it's wonderful. So this is a lot more detail and a lot more raised than you would have gotten with a regular embossing folder. And here's the back. So honestly, I could use the front or the back, and I think this would be a gorgeous background for a card. So now that I've shown you how to use these, I'd like to share with you some of the projects that I did end up making. Although I do love just using plain cardstock, I felt like there was so many possibilities when it came to these embossing folders. So the first thing I did was I started embossing using foil. So I pulled out my Die Cuts with a View metallic foil paper pack, and I just went to town. So this one is the one that I just did is called Bohemian Botanicals. This one is called Geometric Chevron, and I just think it's gorgeous. And then I also have leaves, and I did that one in this gorgeous metallic green. So cool, guys. I don't know if the camera's picking up how amazing this is, but... And then lastly, I did another Bohemian Botanical, and I did this on watercolor paper, and I used my Distress Oxides and did some blending, and I thought that turned out really fun. So, just make sure that you kind of lightly mist your water, or your paper, to make the paper more pliable and ready to be deeply etched. I did not do that on my foil, and as you can see, I did not have any issues with cracking on my foil. So I don't think it's necessary for foil and metallic paper, but for your normal paper, I would do that. So let me share with you some of the projects that I made. This first one was used on watercolor paper, Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor Paper. I used the Feathers embossing folder, and I did some ink blending, and as you can see, ink blending I think is just gorgeous on these embossing folders and make beautiful backgrounds. So that's the first card that I made. I also used the feather embossing folder on metallic foil paper, and I thought that it was too much to put it as a full panel, so I just did a little cutout. And I really like how this turned out. Nice and simple. I'm telling you guys, these embossing folders make it look like you put a lot of hard work into a card, and really you just ran it through your Big Shot and slapped it on a card. Once again, this is the Bohemian Botanicals. I did some ink blending. Really fun. That's fun. Here is another one called Woven. And so I made this card. Happy birthday. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous on that metallic rose gold? So pretty. And I used another metallic sheen paper from Die Cuts with a View and embossed the Bohemian Botanicals. And I made a really stunning anniversary card. So I'm really happy with these embossing folders. I have to be honest with you, I don't use my embossing folders that often, but I had to use that one. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the textured embossing folders, but I did make this today as well because I was playing with my Distress Oxides. So, just wanted to share with you. So, these are the projects that I've made using these amazing 3D Sizzix textured embossing folders. If you guys get a chance, pick one up. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised in how gorgeous and easy these are to use. So if you have any questions, please leave comments and questions below. I'm happy to answer those. And stay tuned because I bought quite a few new and fun products at the Scrapbook Expo, and I'm going to be playing with those products and sharing them with you over the next couple of weeks. So thanks for watching and happy crafting.